Back whenever I went in the service and I told my wife I was going in, well, she told me, she said, I got one request. As long as you're in the United States, we stay together, and that'll be it. We did, and we lived in some terrible places, but she never complained.
So she traveled around with you to all these different...
everywhere. And we went all the way from Camp Kilmer in New Jersey to San Bernardino, California. Went from Harvard, Nebraska to Tucson, and then to Lincoln, Nebraska, and then we went to Miami, even up into Canada. Headed for Trinidad in South America. And we stayed there at Trinidad for a while, and then we went over to the mouth of the Amazon River, the little town of Barry, and the airfield was right next to the Amazon River, and it was hot, so we went out and went swimming, and some of the natives there in the Amazon come out yelling at us in some kind of Spanish or something other, and finally they let us know that there was a school of what they call them, those piranhas, was right out from us there, and he told us that you could take a rope and tie a ham on it and throw it out in that school, and said when you got it back it wouldn't be anything but bones. So that's we quit swimming in that.
What was your rank? What?
That at that time I was buck sergeant.
Okay, you had advanced up to buck sergeant.
Yeah. Then we went to Natal. That's the furthest east in Brazil. We stayed there a few days, and then we left there. We'd been up the night before. We took off about 4 o'clock the next morning and got our altitude and our speed and all 11 of us went to sleep. We had 11 hours flight from there to Africa.
You flew to Africa?
Uh-huh. And we got over there and we stayed there for...
You remember where you landed?
We landed at Dakar. And we stayed there for about a month or so and flew around over Africa training and everything. And then we got notice the next morning to take off for Marrakech and Morocco. And that morning we were sixth in line. There was 30 planes of us, and was taking off every 20 seconds. First two planes that took off, it blew up when they retracted the landing gear. And they grounded everything then, and we postponed taking off, and they called in the demolition crew and the MPs, and they searched all the planes, and I don't know how many had been they'd put in the linkage of the landing gear, they'd put hand grenades, and whenever they retracted the landing gear, it pulled the pin and it blew them up, and it killed 22 men there of our bunch. And
so they'd sabotaged the planes where when they were taking off they exploded.
Right. And I don't know how many more had hand grenades tied to them, but we were sixth in line to take off.
Was this in 1943?
This is in 43, And we, the next day, well, we flew to Marrakech, and we was out in the desert there, and I tell you what, it was terrible out on that desert. The dust storms would come in there, and it'd be a mountain here, and then next day it'd be over there, and we was in tents, 6 to the tent, and sleeping on the ground, and the sand was in everything. We left there, then we went to Jeddah, and we went to Algiers and Libya and all across North Africa there. We left North Africa then, and we were supposed to land at Foggia, Italy, and that was the eastern boundary, the eastern anchor for the German army. And the American ground troops had taken Foggia, and then they got pushed out. And then they'd take it back again, and then the Germans push them out. And they told us that they'd pushed the Germans out and that they was fixing up the landing strip for us to land there. So we took off to go up there, and we had enough gas to go up there, but didn't have enough gas in the planes to go anywhere else. And we got up there, the Germans had pushed the Americans back out. So we had 30 planes in the air with no landing field.
And not a whole lot of fuel.
Yeah, and we didn't have enough fuel to go anywhere else, so they told us right about 7 or 8 miles south of Fuji that there was a field there that they just harvested the old-time way of harvesting wheat. And it was just the wheat stubble there, and there was a house there, a red-top house with a barn attached to it, and a stock tank to the west of it. And that field, that wheat stubble, was our landing field. So that's where we landed. And you can imagine landing in a wheat field with all the wheat and dust flying and B-24s. So we landed there, and a few days later they got bulldozers in there and made us a dirt landing strip.